we will be learning how to use Ableton Live's Resonators.
And the idea is it will take a source sound and then create resonances of the sound afterwards in time. And the nature of the resonance we can configure and choose to be how we want it to be. It can be melodic and harmonious, or it can be more dissonant and more like a special effect, or a feeling of non-harmonic sound to go with it.
Resonators allows you to morph and mutate your incoming audio signal's timbre by adding harmonics both above and below the original pitch.
So what this does is this shifts the formats over to make it sound like there's more than one person singing. This effect is used in a lot of Spangle tracks, a lot of psytrance, and all that.
So I've just loaded it into this drum track. So let's listen to it without. And then with. So immediately you can hear it has a tone to it.
Resonators features 5 different resonators that will superimpose a pitch into whatever type of audio you give it. So if I just play it out of the bat, it sounds like this. And we have, first of all, the dry wet. Let's put it on 100% so we can hear just the effect.
The UI is split up into 3 parts. First, our audio signal will travel through a filter and then hit the 5 resonators, and finally reach some additional global controls.
So our first control is our note control here. I'm actually writing this song in the key of A at the moment. It's an A minor tuning as well. So I'm going to drop this down to A. If I just play you a quick bit of the chords that come in later, you'll see that it makes sense. How we can shape the nature of the resonances. So the first thing is a filtering section. And if I just stick it to be a 100% wet signal, we can just hear the difference the filter makes. We have a low pass. Good if you want to create some more kind of low energy behind your track. High pass, if you want to just kind of make sure it's only in the sort of higher frequencies. And then a notch filter, which is especially good if you find that the sound that's coming from Resonator is a little bit conflicting with the original sound. Maybe it's making it sound a bit congested. You can find with a notch filter where it doesn't want to compete with the original sound and tune it in. So let's bring the drums back in. Around about the kind of the 300-400 hertz area, it's not going to compete with some of the lower thuddy sounds of the drum kit there. The next thing, we have a decay control. So again, if we go to fully wet and we increase that, you'll hear what it does. At the moment it's in a constant mode, so all the resonances are the same duration. We can have a different contour to the sound where lower resonances last longer and higher resonances don't actually last as long as well, just by disabling the constant mode.
And then we have a color knob, which allows us to create small changes to our resonated timbre. A larger value here will produce a brighter sound, while a smaller value will produce a more dull sound. Alright, so Ableton's Resonators provides us 2 different resonation modes. Right now we are in mode A, which offers the most realistic sounding resonance. If we go ahead and click this toggle, we will activate mode B. And if you are going to be using mode B, Ableton suggests setting the note value on the first resonator to a low note, which will produce some non-traditional resonations to your incoming audio signal.
The resonators have 2 modes that resonate in different ways, and you can adjust the decay and color of the resonances.
All right, moving on to the main attraction, the resonators. Again, these will allow us to add resonant frequencies or harmonics to our original audio signal. And you can see all 5 of them labeled right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Roman numerals. The first resonator is fed with both the left and right input channels. The second and fourth resonators are dedicated to the left channel only, and the third and fifth resonators are dedicated to the right channel only. And then just like our filter, we have an on-off toggle for each resonator individually to activate or deactivate the resonator itself. And then you'll notice all of the resonators have a pitch knob, except for the very first one, which has a note knob. This note knob allows us to define the root pitch for all of the resonators, ranging from C-1 to C5. And then the pitch knobs allow us to tune resonators 2 through 5 relative to the root pitch we've set on resonator 1. And these will range from -24 semitones to +24 semitones. And then right below these knobs, we have a fine slider for each resonator, which allows us to tune our resonators, including our root pitch, by cents rather than semitones. And these range from -50 cent to +50 cent.
So these are our actual resonators themselves. We've got the first one which we tuned. So that one's running in A1 right now. Now the next one we can tune apart from that A1 key. And as a note, we can disable any of these resonators we don't want to use, and it does actually change how much consumption it takes from the computer's processing. So depending on how many of these you want to have in your project, it's worth disabling any that you don't need to use.
Right below the fine slider, we have a gain knob, which allows us to adjust the volume of all 5 resonators. All right, let's go ahead and get a taste for what the resonators can do here. I'm going to go ahead and edit some pitch values while we listen back to our example beat. And then if we mess with this dry wet real quick, we can really get a sense of what they're doing. So one thing you'll notice right away is it puts your sound kind of in the background, almost like a reverb does. And so most of the times, if I'm using resonators on a lead sound, I will probably want to put this under 50% just so we don't obliterate the original sound, but instead add a little bit of harmonics and extra padding behind the original dry sound. And then one thing you'll want to keep an eye on is this note value here on resonator 1. Right now you see I've set this to F0, and I did that on purpose because our clip, if you come up here, is in F minor. And so not only is our first resonance in key because we've set it to F0 and our riff is in F minor, but the rest of the resonators, 2 through 5, will also have the potential to stay in key or go a little outside of our key, depending on what we set for these pitch values here. Ultimately, your pitch values don't have to match your incoming audio source, and they don't have to be in key, but I do recommend setting this note value to your root note of your key, just so you can kind of get a sense for what these semitones actually mean relative to your incoming audio source.
And you have a width that controls, remember how I said that the second, fourth are in your right and the third and the fifth are in your left? This controls that. So you could actually turn that off by going to 0, or you can have them more mixed towards the center. I'll just show you real quick. So here you hear it's in the center, and here it's spread out.